In the information age, in which speed is coveted, it's like the golden chalice. It's right there. The speed at which we do things. Splitting your attention and multitasking seems like a really important skill that we should be able to master. However, multitasking and the habit of multitasking is not healthy for us. And the question is, do we actually achieve more when we multitask? In fact, research shows only 2 to 2.5% of the population can in fact effectively multitask. From that, we could conclude that the average human being, or the average human brain, is suited more to monotasking. Welcome to JTInTheRaw show 261, where I chew the thin on business, and after 32 years in business, I have just a few thins to chew. Good morning, Frosty. Good morning, Jace. Good morning, John. Good morning, Fiona. And hello, Lisa. It's great having you all on this morning. And I got to admit, this week's show has been inspired by my confession. This week, I have been juggling so many balls, trying to get so many things happening. It's like I'm just lurching from one to the other, and even I'm lurching. And so I know that when I'm multitasking, that, how would I confess this? That I'm making more mistakes. I'm making more errors. I'm making more boo-boos. G'day, Chris. How are you down there in Melbourne? Hope you're doing well, mate. I know that when I multitask, I make more errors, make more mistakes, more typos in my emails, more typos and errors in documents that I'm writing. I miss details out, important details I miss. And that leads to frustration, my frustration, because I might write a newsletter, send it off to Mel, my VA. She sends it back and I read it and go, what's with all these typos? It's because of my mistakes. So that leads to frustration and, in fact, more time. So I reckon that I might actually be taking longer to complete tasks because of my constant multitasking. What do you think? What do you think when you multitask? Do you make errors? Hit me with a thumbs up if you think you make a few errors when you're multitasking. Now, what is scary? What is scary is that the science says multitasking can actually cause brain shrinkage. And many would say my brain doesn't need to shrink anymore. But brain shrinkage plus, more importantly, short-term memory loss. For me, I can't afford to lose my memory anymore. But I'm more, that's what the science says. For me, I'm actually more worried that when I multitask, it's actually decreasing my ability to concentrate for long periods of time. It's reducing my ability to maintain attention for long periods of time. If you think multitasking is having that effect on you, give me a thumbs up right now as well, whether you're watching live or on replay. Is multitasking have some sort of effect on you? Now, additionally, and perhaps more importantly, multitasking can actually see increases in the stress hormones that we elicit, such as cortisol. And that can lead to high blood pressure, generalized anxiety, depression, and plenty of other health issues. So multitasking impacts up here, but it also impacts the rest of our body as well. So, what then are the benefits of monotasking? Well, it's not hard to work out that monotasking will in fact increase your retention of information. It decreases those errors and mistakes that we just talked about. It can increase your productivity. You can achieve more when you're monotasking. Obviously, it will lower the stress levels and your frustration. It'll allow you to get in a flow state Maybe I should do a whole show on what flow state is, but flow state is the ability to just keep flowing through your work. Basically, monotasking will increase your overall well-being. It decreases fatigue and increases mindfulness. So why the hell would we not monotask? Why are we still multitasking? I don't know. It's a tough habit to break, but it's important that it is a habit. Multitasking has become a habit for many of us, and for us to then flip to monotasking, well, it requires a lot of practice. It requires practice. And it's breaking the old habits to replace them with the new habits. And we will struggle with this change, but small steps will get us there. G'day, Dwayne. How are you, mate? Hope you're doing well. So, I've got to confess. I must confess. Another confession. This whole show's a confession about me, but hopefully it's inspiring you. I have to confess, I'm not game enough to install a website blocking extension. Did you know you can actually had something logged into your web browser like block site, and you can create custom block lists. You can schedule site blockings. You can access productivity reports and initiate time for interval blocking. So what that basically says is you can actually set up on your worktop, on your desktop, what times you could check Facebook or Instagram, when you can go onto LinkedIn. I'm not sure if I'm game enough to do that one yet. It's called the block site. The block site. If you're interested, have a crack. Let me know how you go. I would, however, be willing to explore the old use and keep only one tab open on my web browser. What about you? Would you be, Brett, good morning. Would you be open to trying only one tab open? You can even make it easier for yourself by using an extension on your web browser, such as Limit Tabs for Firefox or Xtab for Chrome. See, I've done some research on this. There is actual techniques and extensions that can help you monotask. So with Limit Tabs and Xtab, they will limit the number of tabs that you can open at any one time. Give me a thumbs up if you'd be willing to give it a crack of only having one tab open at a time. The other day I had to shut my computer down and I had like about 25 tabs open. And I'm like, restore, I can't remember what they were, so don't worry about it. You know what? The world didn't end. The world did not end. But what I am working really hard on at the moment is the Pomodoro technique. This technique requires you to focus. Mira, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Focus your attention on a single task without any distraction for 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. For those of you in the fitness industry, this is interval training. This is Tabata training, where you go hard and then you take a break. Of course, you can set your technique, your timer to 20 minutes or 30 minutes or even 50 minutes if you want. What's Brett saying? Pomodoro is great. I use it when I have big tasks to get through. Now, that's an interesting way to actually doing this, Brett, because you can, in fact, break down these big tasks into Pomodoro intervals. How many intervals of Pomodoro will I need to achieve that task? Really good point. Thanks for sharing that. You will find, though, ladies and gents, your own sweet spot for that length of the Pomodoro. So the deep work area is called the Pomodoro. That's where the focus is. So what you can do is you'll find your sweet spot. It could be 25 minutes with a 5-minute break. But I think there's a lot of power in us knowing when we start a task that there is a finish line so we can concentrate for that specific amount of time. Once you complete that Pomodoro, you can reward yourself with that 5-minute break. Your challenge, though, is to actually only keep it to a 5-minute break. That becomes your challenge. So For me, my strategy at the moment is working around about 50 minutes with a 10-minute break. Depending on the size of the task, as Brett alluded to, sometimes I'll do 25, sometimes I'll take 25 and then 5. But generally, it's about, for me, about a 50 and a 10. Love to know what you do. And if, Brett, what are you using? What's your sort of sweet spot of technique? And if you've tried the Pomodoro, have you got a sweet spot? Share it in the comments below on your work-rest ratio for tasks, not work-rest ratio when you work out. So, it can be, as I just said also, the Pomodoro becomes a great time management technique as well, because you can break down your task and say, okay, I'm going to take 3 of these 50-minute sections with 10 minutes break in order to achieve my entire task. Like all things in life, when you want to make a change, it's challenging. If we've always multitasked and now we're going to move to monotasking, it is tough and it's hard work. You're breaking those habits. So you want to use techniques to break the habits. You want to go step by step with those habits. For me, the science of multitasking is scary. As I get older, I need to still focus my attention, and the last thing I need is memory loss. The last thing I need is to be repeating myself and continuing to make errors. So multitasking is proving detrimental to me. I don't know what it's doing for you. If you want a single task effectively, you need to minimize these external distractions, and it takes discipline. You got to want to do it. It's a new habit. If you want to do it, you will be able to do it. So if you're up for this, if you're up for it, here's the challenge. Put monotasking in the comments below. Monotasking in the comments below, whether you're watching live or on replay. Monotasking, if you are prepared to have a crack like me to try to achieving more by focusing on one thing at a time. If you're up for it, let's hear it. Let's put the comment down below. What's Frosty saying? Some tasks work for me better in the morning and some not so good after lunch. Oh, I totally agree. I'm creative in the morning and I do all those admin-y shitty jobs that I don't like doing in the afternoon, which usually means I try to put them off, Frosty, and that's not a good thing either. But hey, I hope you got some value out of today's show. I gave you some of those extensions to put on your web browser to help you focus on just one thing. But I hope I've inspired you to also think about monotasking and the power of it, and also the negative side of multitasking. If you got value out of the show, whether you're watching live or on replay, I'd love you to hit me up with a love heart or a thumbs up right now, or at any stage during the show, of course. And if you think anyone you know could get value out of today's show, please, please, please hit the share button wherever it is. I would be very grateful. Chris is saying monotasking first thing in the morning is great to focus for someone with ADHD. Chris, you're 100% right. In the research I did for today's show, all of the research says multitasking exacerbates the issues with ADHD people. It exacerbates it. So if you have any form of that sort of illness or affliction, then please focus on that multitasking. So that's it for this week's show. I hope you have an awesome weekend. People in New South Wales, here in Australia, you are open next week for business, Freedom Day on Monday. Hope you have an awesome week. I look forward to catching up with everybody. Same time next week. I'll catch you on the flip side.